Hello everyone, we are Stars Studios, and welcome to the showcase of our game, XIII. We are very excited to bring you on our 8-week journey from the concept to the finished product. Please stay tuned. The original game pitch that was assigned to us was "In my dreams I can fly." The main mechanic was controlling gravity, having the ability to turn gravity on and off. We decided to change the mechanic because there were too many variables that requires lots of testing and we could not account for. This also includes the time constraints we had to deal with. And now here's Brian, which he will be talking about the inspiration of our game.
We set up meetings and have brainstorms to share ideas about our key mechanic design. Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, and the Control. These two games give us a lot of ideas. In Zelda, Link used his power to float the object to figure out the puzzle in the shrine. And in Control, Jess can grab anything to float from the ground and shoot the enemies. These features look so exciting. So, we spent 3 days trying to create a small prototype of floating object from ground and shooting. Considering the rest of time we have, finally, we decided to cancel the mechanics of shooting and come back with AI. Instead, our idea is to create different type of floating objects, and each object has a unique feature. We believe it creates more fun and a challenge on gameplay. Now, the time for Raj. Raj is our art leader. He would like to share our game theme, concept, and the narrative settings from art production.
XIII takes place in a sci-fi laboratory facility imprisoning test subjects with abnormal powers. Subject 13, our player character, is a high-level telepathic that breaks out of her cell and fights her way through the 5 floors above to escape. Each level increases in security, introducing new measures to keep the player in, and finally, as a last defense, the Warden unit stands guard before the exit. For the environment reference, we chose Star Citizen's setting for its sci-fi nature, but more specifically for some black and white monochromatic schemes the game contained. This would aesthetically elevate any and all assets, as they are given selective schemes with a purpose. In the conceptual phase, we focused heavily on consistency throughout our workflow, and our assets were chosen within the time constraints to have them effectively polished from start to finish. During this time, concepts with the enemies, pickable assets, environment pieces, and the player character were completed, thus pushing us forward with a strong collective direction. Speaking of the player character, I will now let Spencer expand on it some more.
This is Subject 13, the main character of Cell 13. When designing the main character, the inspiration that I used to develop this character was from Mass Effect. As you can see, I have provided a picture of the high-res on the left, the low-poly in the middle, and the fully textured character on the right.
We have a final boss planned from the beginning of the production. Originally, it had a gorilla stance and a beast-like animation. We later changed the design to a more sci-fi approach, and then we tried to give him a Hulk-style smash animation. But it had to be replaced with a more subtle one due to time limitation. As for the color scheme, we wanted its primary color to be different than anything else from the game, and we originally chose orange, but had to change it to purple due to conflict with other assets. In the initial concept, we have a companion drone that follows around the player and gives the player tips. However, after we determined that the idea is undoable, we changed the drone into an enemy character. The laser turrets is a stationary enemy that we designed for the later levels. We made 4 different types of pickable objects: energy cell, crates, explosive barrels, and a plank. The textures for these objects have very distinct color to make them stand out from the environment. We have green for the crates, red for the explosive barrel, and orange for the energy cell. We also have a large amount of extra prop that fills the environment, and we try to make them fit in aesthetics as much as possible, both design-wise and lore-wise.
Modularity is a core element within Cell 13's building blocks. The overall scheme and structure holds potential for various level layouts, and to enhance this, we have chosen specific lighting settings to truly distinguish each course. 2 examples of these include level 1 and 5, with the former staging a cold, oppressive environment, while the latter brings a brighter yet sinister red setting.
Hello, I'm in charge of the Unity project. My responsibility is to build a code structure. I'm very glad to share you our coding experience. We hope it can help you. We believe the whole project should use objective-oriented to develop the system. Using less code can increase the code efficiency and easy to maintain its code and fix bugs. The diagram is our project code structure. The normal box is the parent object. The explosion barrel, energy cell, and heavy plaque are the prefab variant. They are the children object of normal box. All the common systems like floating, detecting, were coded on the parent object, and the children object were using the same code was shared by the parent object automatically. All the feature of the children object is unique. They will not affect other children object and the parent object. This code structure is easier for us to maintain its code and bug fixing. Of course, I face a lot of problems when I develop the system. Tom helps me a lot. He has always supported me and patient to help me to fix the issue. I'm very appreciative of him. Hey guys, this is a XIII project, and this is our title menu, and this is our main menu. And this is our level select menu. The level 1 is tutorial level. This level helps the player to understand the gameplay mechanics and the control. When we design the layout, we cooperate together and share ideas about how to guide the player naturally to understand the gameplay within the limited time. Here, we would like to share some idea. First, we provide only one gameplay path at the beginning of the level. We try to help the player to understand the interactive between the gameplay and the player. For example, the player starts in a small room with the explosion barrel, broken glass door, and health recharge station. The only way that the player can escape from this room is using explosion barrel to destroy the glass door. So the player will know how to detect float object, explosion damage, explosion radius, and the health recharge station in one path. Second, visual guiding like texture, lightning is another key to present information to the player. Let me give you an example. When we use image map to turn on and turn off, it can help the player to understand that the object is in the detect range. The destroyable glass door has damage and a cracked texture. Shining red emissive light tells the player that the barrel will be exploded. Third, visual camera is very helpful to tell the player information naturally instead of directly using words tips on UI. We use multiple virtual camera to switch view to tell the clue or result of some trigger events. It can guide the player to keep moving. Finally, we create some icons and place it on HUD. It helps the player to understand the gameplay control.
The goal for level 2 is to reinforce the player's knowledge on the core mechanic by introducing slightly more difficult puzzles without the hints. We also make the entire level more lit up than the first room, so the player will know that this is a different environment. By introducing the door blocking puzzle and the moving platform, we really want to make the puzzle more diverse with the limited amount of core mechanic we have. At the end of the level, we introduce the laser mechanic, which will be the primary mechanic for level 3.
With an expansion on the laser mechanic, the player will learn fast that objects can be passed through the lasers unharmed. Here the energy cell is used to turn off the lasers as a simple puzzle starter. The plank object here is used to shield the lasers, blocking access to the small room where the energy cell needs to be inserted into the socket, shutting off the laser field. The explosive barrel is also required to open up a path, and the plank object is finally used to bridge onto the second room. As a lesson in caution, the second room forces players to shield and maneuver themselves around the laser field. Ultimately, they must take great care to open the doors to the final puzzle room of level 3. In the end, players must position the plank properly towards the final platform whilst avoiding any and all death traps. As a final puzzle before level 4, the explosive barrel needs to be levitated to reach and destroy the glass panels, giving way to the exit.
First thing you do is that you grab the explosive and you place it on the barrier, and then the next step is you grab the movable object and you place it onto the lasers, so that way you can get through the laser area. Then after the first section, you place the same movable object and make a bridge, so that way you can walk over, and you also pick up a power energy cell. And you can't forget the health either. This time you have a small movable object that you have to go through with the laser, which can be a bit challenging at times. The main objective to go through all the lasers is to get to the explosive. So you grab the explosive, the same thing that you did at the very start, and then you grab the energy socket for the door, and you have to go through the glass. Once the door is open, you can proceed to grab the Ever energy socket to deactivate the lasers. The third room, you have a big movable object that's a lot larger than the previous two movable objects, and you have to go through all the lasers. And the new thing that we've introduced in level 4 is that we do have an enemy. In the previous 3 levels, we introduced the explosive and lasers. This level 4 is an introduction to the enemy for our next and final level.
In the first room, you must put an energy cell into the socket for the door to open and proceed through the level. To do that, you have to reach the platform. So, in order to reach the platform, you have to use the bridge that is lying on the floor to get up to the platform. Then you have to use the bridge to get onto the second platform to then walk across to where the energy socket is. And once you put the energy cell into the socket, the door opens and you may proceed through to the next room. The second room is when you encounter an enemy drone. So in order to proceed into the next room, you have to defeat the energy drone with the explosive barrels that are stationed on the explosive barrel pad. And in the third room, when trying to reach the energy cell that's on the platform, you have to walk through a laser and you have to also destroy a glass frame wall. So in order to reach the glass frame wall, you have to pick up the bridge, go up to the platform towards where the laser is. Once you're up on the platform, to block the laser, you can use the bridge to deflect the laser to where you can proceed through. Then you pick up the explosive barrel, you place it right in front of the glass wall, and it will explode, and you have access to retrieving the energy cell to where you can put it into the socket and continue on to the final room. And in the final room, you have to face the terrifying, intimidating robot warden. So in order to complete this room, you have to make sure that you place the energy cells into the sockets. There are 2 sockets and 2 energy cells. The explosive barrels do not kill the warden robot, but it stuns the robot. And while it's stunned, it takes 3 seconds for the robot to recover. And once you place the battery cells into the sockets, the corridors, which is the platform of where the boss is walking, opens, the boss falls, and you beat the game. We are truly proud to have showcased our first ever level 5 game. With the help from our professors and feedback from peers, you were able to help us achieve our goals of creating a polished yet fun game. We thank you very much, and we hope you've enjoyed our game.